Hi everyone, I'm Candy from Susan's family. Today I'm bringing you a warm winter set, the Dancing Lion style. This product includes gloves and earmuffs. Let's start with the earmuffs. They're made up of the stem, eye base piece, eyeball piece, ears, mouth and horns. Let's start with the stem. Begin with a chain ring. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. The stitches used are CH, chain, X, single crochet, and slip stitch. Now watch me demonstrate the specific crochet method. First, let's look at the chart. In the chart, R plus number indicates the round number. H plus number indicates the row number. And this column explains increases and decreases. It shows the stitches needed for crocheting the current round, as well as increases and decreases. The total stitches column indicates the total number of stitches. After completing all stitches in the current round, take the corresponding yarn. I'm using random colors here for specific yarn, color scheme and hook size. Please refer to the detail page of our product and the paper instructions. The original yarn is hard to see the stitches when crocheting. You can first learn the method by watching the video. Before starting to crochet, begin by leaving a 30 cm yarn tail and tying a slip knot. Insert the hook into the knotted loop. Adjust the loop size. Hold the yarn with left hand. Hold the hook with right hand. Next the cast on is 6ch. Join with a slip stitch to the first stitch to form a circle. This indicates the cast on method is foundation chain. Make 6 chains. Because the yarn has long fibers, the stitches are hard to see when crocheting. Therefore, you need to mark them in advance. Take a stitch marker. Pick up and mark the right strand underneath the hook. This strand. After marking, make 1 chain stitch. The stitch marker position is the first stitch. Next, crochet the second stitch. You also need to mark before crocheting. Continue to crochet the remaining chains. Pay attention to the marking. The third stitch. The fourth stitch. The fifth stitch. The sixth stitch. After completing, insert into the first chain stitch, which is the stitch marker position, join with a slip stitch. Pay attention, don't twist the chains. Insert. Yarn over and draw through. Pull through all loops on the hook in once. Slip stitch completed. The slip stitch doesn't count as a stitch, tighten it. The slip stitch is not indicated in the form. When crocheting in rounds, always finish by joining with a slip stitch, and tighten. Starting chain completed. Now crochet the first round. The chart shows 6x. The number before indicates how many single crochets to make. Pick up the top loop of the chains and work 1 single crochet in each stitch. This is the stitch marker position. Before crocheting the first stitch, remove the stitch marker. Pick up the bottom 2 loops to mark. This is the entire mark. Insert the hook into the marked stitch, and make 1 single crochet. This way, the first single crochet stitch is at the marker position. You can add another stitch marker on this marker. To distinguish the first stitch position, the stitch marker at the starting point can be removed. Next, pick up the second marker position, and work 1 single crochet. You can mark it before crocheting. Afterwards, work 1 single crochet in each stitch at the marker positions. If you initially can't distinguish the stitches, you can mark the entire loop on the hook with a stitch marker before each stitch, before crocheting each stitch. You must place a stitch marker after completing the last stitch. Join with the first stitch using a slip stitch. Because the stitch count is low, the fabric will naturally curl, which is normal. Flip the right side out. And the first round is complete. Take a look. Whichever side has more fuzz, Use that as the right side. In my case, the side facing us while crocheting is the wrong side. And the other side is the right side. Use one strand of yarn to mark the right side. Move on to the second round. Make one beginning chain. Work single crochets evenly on the previous round stitches. Since the number of stitches is small, place a stitch marker in every stitch. Join with a slip stitch. The second round is complete. Move on to the third round. Make one beginning chain. Follow the same crocheting method as round 2. Work single crochets evenly on the previous round stitches. Join with a slip stitch. The third round is complete. For the remaining rounds, follow the same demonstration as round 3. Or work until the desired length is reached. Adjust the number of rounds as needed. After completing the final round, secure with a chain stitch. Leave a 30 cm yarn tail, and cut the yarn. Take the ear warmer frame and thread it through the center of the post. Position it here. Remove the stitch marker. Set it aside for later use. Now let's learn the front piece. Start with a foundation chain. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. Use B single crochet increase, a single crochet decrease. Skip stitches. Watch my demonstration. Take the corresponding yarn. I'm using random colors here. Leave a 5-10 cm yarn tail, and tie a slip knot. Insert the hook into the knotted loop. Hold the yarn with left hand. Hold the hook with right hand. The next step is 2. The next step is 2ch, which means starting with a chain stitch. Work 2 chains. Because the yarn has long fibers, the stitches are hard to see when crocheting. So we need to mark them in advance. Take a stitch marker. Pick up any strand below the hook to mark. Then work 2 chains. Starting chain is done. Now work the first round. The chart shows are 2, 7 SC. The brackets, here, indicate that the stitches inside should be worked in the same position. R2 means starting crocheting from the second to last stitch of the starting chain. Count back from the hook side. This is the second to last stitch, which is where the stitch marker is placed. Work 7 single crochets. Take the stitch marker and pick up 2 strands below the hook to mark. This is the complete marking. Insert the hook into the marked stitch, and work 1 single crochet. This way the stitch marker marks the first single crochet stitch. So the first stitch is completed. Continue inserting the hook into the starting stitch marker position. Pull through the required number of single crochets. The stitch pattern corresponding to the chart is complete. Remove the starting stitch marker. Then work a slip stitch into the first single crochet stitch of this round to finish, which means crocheting at the left side stitch marker position. Slip stitch completed. So the first round is completed. The side facing us while crocheting is the wrong side. The other side is the right side. Use one strand of yarn to mark the right side. I won't mark it here. Move on to crochet round 2. Our 2 is 7V. The number in front indicates how many consecutive single crochet increases to work. Here it means to work 7 consecutive single crochet increases. Make 1 beginning chain. Work 1 single crochet increase in the first stitch of the previous round. Insert into the slip stitch insertion point of the previous round, which is also where the first stitch marker is placed. Work 2 single crochets here. Place the starting tail above the hook while crocheting. Weave in the ends as you go along. Pay attention to mark first, then crochet. To distinguish, you can place another stitch marker on the first stitch. 1 stitch. Two stitches. This completes the single crochet increase. The stitch marker from the previous round can now be removed. Continue working single crochet increases on the left stitch. Don't forget to weave in the ends. Since we marked stitch markers for every stitch in the previous round, simply insert into the marked stitch position to crochet. If only the first and last stitches were marked with stitch markers, this yarn makes it hard to see the stitches. So feel with your hands. Part the fibers above. You'll faintly see 2 strands. Below feels like a small dent. Pick that dent to crochet. Or you can use a yarn needle. First insert into the previous stitch's insertion point. Then pick up the next stitch backward. Basically this stitch is the stitch. Make a single crochet increase on this stitch. You need to make 7 single crochet increases in this round. For the rest, work 2 single crochets into every stitch. After completing the last single crochet increase, check the stitch count. Count the stitches starting from the stitch marker position. 1, 2, 3. 13. 14. There are 14 stitches in this round. If there's no stitch marker, just feel and count each stitch. Take it a bit slower. The total stitches for each round are clearly marked in the corresponding chart. I won't mention this again later. Then slip stitch into the first stitch. Pay attention. After each round ends, always join with a slip stitch to the first stitch. The extra yarn tail from the starting chain can be cut directly, or hide it completely. This completes round 2. Continue crocheting round 3. Our 3 is x v times 7. The parentheses indicate a group. Times number indicates the number of times to repeat the pattern. Make 1 beginning chain. I'll emphasize again. Each round must begin with a beginning chain. I won't mention this again later. Now we're getting familiar with crocheting this yarn. Starting from this round, reduce the number of stitch markers. Mark every 3 stitches with a stitch marker, marking the stitch count for the entire round, or you can mark according to your preferred stitch count. Here I'll use 3 stitches as an example. And always mark the first and last stitch of each round. Don't forget that. Now let's crochet this round. First, mark it. Then make a single crochet in the first stitch of the previous round. Make a single crochet increase in the left stitch. This completes one group, X, V. Let me demonstrate another group. First, make a single crochet. You can mark this stitch. Then make a single crochet increase in the left stitch. This is the second group. Repeat X, V, 7 times for this round. For the remaining 5 times, work 1 single crochet, and 1 single crochet increase each time. Remember to mark every 3 stitches. Join with the first stitch using a slip stitch. Pull tight. This completes the third round. Now work the fourth round. Round 4 is X, V, X times 7. Because the stitch markers from the previous round are not placed on every stitch, so for this round, as you crochet, before working each stitch, find the stitch position. Hold it with your hand, then crochet. Keep the position held steady while crocheting. After completing, feel the adjacent stitch on the left side, which is the small hole position. There should be a noticeable dent. If you can't find it, use a needle to insert into the small hole for assistance. The stitch is easier to insert into compared to other positions. Pay attention that the stitch should be close to the edge of the fabric. Hold this position and continue crocheting. When making a single crochet increase, keep your fingers placed here at all times, ensuring both single crochets are worked into the same stitch. Continue crocheting downward. After your fingers confirm the position, then work the next stitch. This way, a group X, V, X in the chart is completed. Continue with a single crochet in the left stitch. In this round, we mark every fourth stitch. One single crochet increase. One single crochet. This is the second group. Continue crocheting downward using the previous method. After completing all stitches, join with a slip stitch. Pull tight. This completes the fourth round. Move on to the 5th round. Our 5 is 3 single crochets, increase, times 7, when there are many stitches in a round. You can refer to the stitch markers from the previous round as you crochet. Check the stitch count and position for this round. To avoid missing any stitches, if you really can't find the stitch, you can also use the stitch marker positions marked in the previous round, combined with the stitch count for this round, to easily insert the hook. Insert the hook near the edge of the fabric. After completing, check the total stitches against the marked stitch markers. It should match the target stitch count. If the total stitches are incorrect after finishing, you need to unravel back to the first stitch marked in the previous round. Unravel slowly. Remember to pull the yarn loop back through. Then recrochet this round. This round requires marking every 5 stitches. Follow the pattern chart and marking method as instructed. Complete this round. This completes round 5. Now let's crochet round 6. The chart for this round says, flow, even 35x. Flow means front loop only. A stitch has 2 loops. The loop closer to you is the front loop. The loop farther from you is the back loop. For this round, work only into the front loops. Because the yarn is special. Crochet a bit slower because of the special yarn. Leave the stitch markers from the previous round in place for now. Insert your hook into both loops of the stitch first. Then remove the back loop with your hand. Work single crochets into the front loops only. Crochet slightly slower as you work. Check the stitch count between each marker after completing them. Remember to mark every 5 stitches as well. This completes round 6. You can now remove the stitch markers from the previous round. Be careful not to remove the wrong stitch markers. Now let's work on round 7. This round is simply picking up stitches from the previous round, and working single crochets evenly. Remember to pick up the stitches, not just the front loops. Don't work into the front loops only. Check your stitch count as you go. Move the stitch markers along as you crochet. After completing round 7, proceed to round 8. Move the stitch markers along together. First, work the corresponding number of single crochets according to the chart. After completing, work 3 chains. Mark these 3 stitches before crocheting them. Complete this round. Skip 3 stitches below. Start single crocheting from the next stitch. Remember to mark the first stitch. Work the entire round. This completes round 8. Now let's work round 9. This round's crocheting method is similar to round 6. When encountering stitches, pick up the front loops for crocheting. When encountering chain spaces, crochet at the stitch marker positions. Note that after the first stitch, place a marker on the back loop. To differentiate, mark this stitch marker with yarn as well. Afterwards, mark every 5 stitches. If you have extra stitch markers at home, you can mark each back loop. These marker positions are for crocheting the final round. If you don't have extra stitch markers, just cut a piece of cotton yarn, thread the needle, and mark with cotton yarn after each stitch. If you're familiar with the positions, you can skip marking. This completes round 9. Now let's crochet the final round. BLO means back loop only. This round involves picking up the remaining half loops from round 8. Start by picking the first stitch. Make 1 slip stitch. Transition strand position. Do not tighten. Then make 1 beginning chain. Work 1 single crochet at the slip stitch insertion point. Remember to mark. Once completed, pick half loops on the left side, and work 2 single crochets. The next stitch is a single crochet decrease. First insert the hook into the left side, and draw the yarn through. Then insert the hook into the adjacent position, and draw the yarn through. There are now 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through all loops at once. This completes 1 single crochet decrease. This completes 1 group of stitches within the parentheses in the chart. To make it clearer for everyone, I'll demonstrate using cotton yarn. Single crochet decrease. Insert the hook into the left stitch. Yarn over and pull through. This is an incomplete single crochet. Insert into the adjacent stitch. Yarn over and pull through. Completing 2 incomplete single crochets. There are now 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over the hook. Pull through all 3 loops in sequence. Draw the yarn through. 1 single crochet decrease is completed. This is the crocheting method for single crochet decrease. I'll demonstrate another group. First pick up the front loop on the left, and work 3 single crochets in sequence. Then work a single crochet decrease in the adjacent position. First insert into the left side of 2 half loops, and draw the yarn through each. Then yarn over once, and pull through. This completes the single crochet decrease. The second group of stitches is completed. This round requires crocheting 7 groups of this stitch pattern. Complete the remaining 5 groups according to the pattern chart. Finally join with the first stitch using a slip stitch. This completes the last round. Secure with a chain stitch. Leave a yarn tail about 4 times the length of the last round and cut the yarn. Hide the excess tail from the starting chain inside the fabric. Set it aside for now. This completes the front body. Next, let's learn the back body. Also begin with the foundation chain. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. The first 4 rounds are worked the same as the front body. The 5th round is picking up the front loops and working even. Note that you need to mark the back loops. Only the first stitch position in the last round. No marking needed for other positions. Leave a yarn tail of 5-10 centimeters and cut the yarn. I've already crocheted this part in advance. Next, take one front body and one back body for assembly. To make it clearer, I'll demonstrate the method using cotton yarn first. Thread the reserved yarn from the front body into the yarn needle. Place both pieces with the right sides facing out. For the back body, sew into the insertion point of the second to last round. Which is above the remaining half stitch. For the front body, sew into the stitches of the last round. When sewing, first insert into the sewing position of the back body. Insert into any stitch. Pull out through the adjacent stitch. For the front body, pull out from the wrong side. Insert into the adjacent position. Gently tighten. This completes one stitch. Continue to sew the second stitch. Insert into the position where you pulled out from the back body. Pull out through the adjacent position on the left side. For the front body, at the position where you just inserted, pull out upwards. Insert into the adjacent position on the left side. Gently tighten. This completes the second stitch. Continue sewing. This is the third stitch. The fourth stitch. Following this demonstration, continue sewing until slightly more than half. When demonstrating with the original yarn, it's not very clear due to the yarn color. Sew slightly slower. Feel and sew one stitch at a time. Remove the marker position while sewing. Next, take out the ear cushion frame bowl. Place the flatter side against the front body. The larger hole at the top. Align with the hole in the front body. Remember to remove the stitch markers inside the fabric piece. Then take out the ear cushion frame. Thread it through this hole. Pay attention, the back body is close to the ear. Continue threading down to the lower hole. Once completed, continue sewing. Add a small amount of stuffing while sewing. Sew all the way around this circle. Tie off and weave in the ends. Weave in a few extra stitches for security. Thread the reserved yarn of the rod into the sewing needle. Sew the rod to this hole for a few stitches. Secure firmly, until no frame marks are visible. After securing firmly, tie off and weave in the ends. Installation method for the other side. Same as this side. This completes the assembly of the front and back bodies.